We're looking at Langston Hughes' theme for English B. What do you have at the beginning of this poem? It's an epigraph, right? What is the epigraph?
The teacher said it.
Yeah, and it's almost like a part of the poem, but you feel like the beginning of this is, it feels like an epigraph, right? And I think you could call it an epigraph. The epigraph consists of what? Yeah, it's a homework assignment or an essay assignment, and this poem is hypothetically an answer to that assignment. Here's the things you should have noticed about this poem, pattern-wise. The poem is addressed to whom? The instructor. In his poem to the instructor, in the first stanza, you see this preponderance, abundance, a lot of prepositions. Through, across, down, under. And it gives you this sense of movement, right? All these various different places. In addition to movement, that's sort of grammatical, you've got a sense of movement that's geographic. So this movement from, not only from south to north, but this movement all around the city. So, in addition to like a grammatical sense of movement, a language sense of movement, and a geographic sense of movement, there's a musical sense of movement with the rhythm. And that's what I try to get students to recognize with the mop that we do for Hughes, is that there is no consistent rhythm, you know, like let's say the Phyllis Wheatley poem, right? This isn't a regular meter. You've got a sense of movement that almost seems improvisational, so that when you read it out loud, you sort of have to move with that changing rhythm. That improvisational rhythm, or seemingly improvisational rhythm within this poem, emulates the improvisational rhythm of jazz. So that when you get to the lines, like, I feel and see and hear Harlem, I hear you, hear me, we too, you, me, talk on this page. I hear New York too. So when you, the reader, read this poem out loud, you are recreating that improvisational rhythm of jazz, and thereby recreating whatever rhythm he would have been hearing when he says, I hear New York. Okay? So, the TOI for this poem, movement. A sense of movement. The clarifications for that sense of movement is geographical, musical, and syntactical or grammatical. Okay? Now, for the second stanza, notice that that question, the line that says, so will my page be colored that I write, is for many scholars the beginning of modern African American literature. Will my page be colored that I write? Because it's this question of, you know, do I, like, what does it mean for me to be colored and write? And of course this term colored is archaic and obsolete, no longer, of course, used. And don't think that Langston Hughes, he's most likely using the term, he's definitely using the term tongue-in-cheek, because he plays with it in the imagery of his poem. Will my page be colored that I write? And you can't help but think when he talks about that, you know, the ink is black and the paper is white. You know, so at the same time, it's like Langston Hughes saying, you know, just like this ink needs this paper for meaning to come through, you need me in order to be black. I mean, in order to be white. Like, you don't get to be white without my being black. Do you see? So it's almost like this symbiotic relationship of meaning. Do you guys understand? Okay. And then at the end, there's this, you're white, yet a part of me is I am a part of you. That's American. So again, he makes this like inextricable relationship or connection between, ink and paper, black and white. And now that combination, that inextricable, situation, living, everything he's clarified as American. One poetic device I want to point out for sure is called alliteration. Alliteration. And for Hughes, Harlem Renaissance, famous as the poetic voice of the Harlem Renaissance, TOI with movement. Will this page be colored that I write? As the beginning of African American Lit, and alliteration. Okay, the alliteration takes place in Bessie, Bop, or Bach. Yeah. Alliteration is the repetition of the consecutive repetition of a primary word sound. Like it has to be consecutive, one right after the other, in order to create unity, emphasis, or whatever else is appropriate for that context. For this particular example of alliteration, it's three very different genres of music, and yet they are united under the alliteration. And metaphorically, you can see that as Hughes wanting to unite, every American or specifically black and white communities, right? As an image. Do you get it? Okay. So, for Hughes, note all of these things in your TOI column and the definition and example of alliteration in this poem. You got it?
Can you just repeat the sense of movement? You said geographical.
Geographic, grammatical, and musical.